Hello friends, today I want to talk about briefly on how you can exercise your mind to become a tester mindset, and then what are the different approaches you can apply, right, to become a tester mindset. So that applies however you do testing. It could be manual, it could be automation, one or the other, right? Or you could be doing some performance testing, or you could be doing any unit testing. But more long story short is that you need to have that tester mindset. So you should be able to figure out that what the application is supposed to do, and then you should be able to differentiate what it is doing, and you should be able to bring out some of those approaches when you think that application may fail, right? So you should have kind of negativity testing, or positivity testing. So positive testing or negative testing, or it could be happy path. So there are all different areas that you could apply, and you can get kind of be more thoughtful, right? Get thoughtful process. So I was trying to focus this into the writing automation test. So before going to the automation test, I want you to understand how you should actually architect yourself, or like bring that kind of a mindset that will help you becoming, I mean, before beginning writing code, right? So you don't want to spend more time on thinking on doing this and that and refactoring codes. So you want to first get a sketch of the idea what application does. I have briefly sketched what the user story would look like. So user story is same thing as your test scenario could be, or it could have all different test cases. And then so here I have all different user stories, right? Each user story has all certain features that is to be tested. So when you perform this step, then these are the things that is expected as a behavior of this action, right? So, and this is the identifier. So this is just the identifier that tells, like, when you go anywhere, you might have some tools where you would be able to looking into this as a search, and then you try to pull out this whole information what it says. So it could be that you want to just validate, or you want to do the testing, or it fails and you want to go something, or some new hiree comes in that does not know anything and they wanted to look into the documents. They would go with these IDs. So these IDs are unique basically. So this ID represents this step only, this step represents these behaviors, right? Same thing, all different IDs, different behaviors, different actions, different behavior. All I'm trying to do here is my overall scenario as a whole is called a scenario. Overall scenario is like you should be able to log into the application, and once you log in, successfully log in, then you should be able to access the application that you submitted. So this could be some like application web application where you submit your application online, right? And then it could be like you apply a job online and you wanted to see the status, or it could be something that let's say you wanted to apply for some voluntary position, right? Or it could be something that you wanted to apply for passport, online passport. Or you could be something that you wanted to apply for some medical insurance, and then you want to get that, right, to get that status what it is. So for that purpose, I'm trying to just sketching out what it could be, it could look like, right? So when you go this, once you have this type of mindset, so basically you shouldn't need to worry on this whole thing how you write. But because these days you read on the user story will have all of these things already sketched. So if you are in the waterfall, you might have to write this whole thing, because those are in the documents. So you have to basically write them into the test cases. Once you write the test cases, that's when you will start, like, the test case will have like this format, and then you will start writing test on each one of these validations and performing these actions. Okay, so let's assume this is where you're at. So if you are in agile, you might be following user story model. And then if you're in waterfall, you might be going through older traditional test cases system, right? User story will have user story number, test case will have test case IDs. So it's up to you or how your company is applying. But the summary of but the bottom line of what you should be doing as a tester is same. That has never changed. So let's go through how we would be writing this is compared to when we write the coding. Okay, so to do that, I first designed this whole test cases. Now I'm starting to write the test cases. So this is, I'm focusing into JUnit test. So let's do this and again, this is not for the doing the real test onto the browsers itself. So that's why I didn't put any URL address. So this would be just kind of how you can develop your mindset. So this is for somebody who has never been a tester, automation tester, but has been manual tester, or somebody who wanted to start their career in the testing. So this would be that type of, this is again that's why this title itself says is exercising testing mindset, right? So when you go to the JUnit, and if you want to go through how you would do JUnit, I have other videos and explain more about the JUnit. So I'm just focusing on how you would write the test. So I have created a new class here. It's called just my first JUnit. This is a class name, it could be anything. So I would write here methods as a test, public void. So I'm going to write this with based on my user story number. So I'm going to write 3 methods here, 1 2 3, right? So here, so that is one user story. I'm going to write other user stories. So basically I'm just sketching this, right? And then what I will do is I will just change this numbers to 1 2 3 as the way it is. Okay, and once I'm done with this, now I'm going to validate this whole thing, right? So let me just copy here. So what I do is I need to validate this whole thing. So I will do this so that I don't need to go back and forth. That's why I'm doing this. So all I'm doing is here is just printing it out. Okay, so before that I need to perform some action. So obviously that actions should be there. There are different ways on doing this. I'm just giving demo how you would have your mindset develop, but you could easily do this also just by the action. Instead of 001, you could just have launch the browser, right? And then based on what the action is, you could just write the method space. So you are clicking login link on the top right? So what do you do? This method is second one is right. Click to the application status. So basically this is not just click login, this is login. Okay, and once you log in, then you will go to this step, which is access application status. Okay, so these are the action items you have. So this is the steps that is validating in here, launch browser. So what I'm going to choose to here is I'm just going to print this out just to show you how the steps are being defined. So first thing is home page should display. There are other different ways. I'm going to go through the other videos on that, doing the real-time testing. So here all I'm doing is just adding the steps. So this is each of these steps. I'm putting validation here. Okay, and then so just take this as this is the validation, right? Just take this as a validation, don't think too much. And then then I'm going to close this. Okay, and I don't need this whole thing. So just look like this. So you are launching the browser, you are putting validation that home page should load. Okay, once the page load, basically this home page should load is you're gonna put some waits here, so that like how long you want to wait for this to page to load. Usually you put the timer here, wait timer, so timer delay is something. And then these are the validations, so you put some kind of assertions. So the assertion fundamental is that it does the validation. If the validation does not occur, it will just throw out the error, or it will just fail the test right there. So when you come to the line number 10, logo should display on top left. So what this does is we are trying to validate that logo should display. So we will have some steps in the Java that we're going to write. If you come to the 11, login link should display on the top right. So we're going to write the steps that validates that logo login link is on the top right. 12, page headers should display at home. Display home. So home is the header. This home is the header that we want to be displayed, right? So there should be page header with the home link. Okay, home, not the link, home. The page header should have a home on it. And then let's go to the login. What the login wants. So when you come to login, you have this many steps that we need to validate. Okay, so let's do the same thing here. I'm going to just do okay. Oh, and again we're going to validate this in different video. So this is just the basic, so don't get too much worried. We have enough time to write codes. And then I'm just going to write this over and over. Okay, and then all I'm doing is just doing some designing. And then here, this all I'm doing is just validating these things. What I did is login. When I log into the page, I should be able to see, able to navigate to the login page. Again, this means the waiting. I'm going to put a wait here. And I have a logo in this. Again, this logo should there even if I'm in home page or launching the browser. That logo, company logo, should be there. Home link should be displayed because I'm no longer in home page, I'm in login page. So I should be able to have some link that I click and I need to be able to go to home. And then I should be able to, because I'm in login, I should be able to see login username and a password, right? And then there should be forget my password, right? And then because we're logging here, I'm going to just add that. Let's think that this is the happy path, which means this is the positive scenario. I should be okay, that should be the steps. And then when I go to application status, let's assume that you are now at this point, you are already in the application status page. I mean successfully login page. Okay, now what I do is I'm going to just get this whole thing again. Able to see the application status, so that is the validation, right? You should be able to see the application status status page. And then so application ID should display correctly. That means whoever application you're trying to access, the ID should match, right? And then that ID should obviously reflect to whoever is logged into, right? And then user info details should be displaying as per the application submitted, obviously, right? So you should be able to display correct user info, which means incorrect user should not be displayed, right? Obviously you're trying to access somebody's information on the application status. It should definitely show whose application it is. And then there is another step we have. If the application status is pending or not approved. Until it is approved, so then that should be yellow status, right? If it is approved should be in the green status. So there should be some status colors that validates those. And then, so these are kind of if condition. We need to put some conditional statements in line 31 and 32. We need to have some, like, these are the field validation, right? So these are the field validation. You put some assertion here, and then you have a line 27. Users should be able to see application status page. So this is again assertions are just field validations we're going to put. And then you have, if you have applications approved, and okay, if it is not approved, there should be some withdraw application button, and that should be enabled, right? So if it is in the green color, which means if it is approved, withdraw application buttons should be disabled, right? You should not be able to withdraw the applications once your application is already approved. So that kind of validation we have in this application, let's assume. Then these are kind of mindset. Before you even try to code, just think that as like this is how you should be writing, and then you're going to then practice. So don't just jump into writing code like this. This is just how I'm trying to demonstrate how you should be doing if you have never done any automation tests. And then let's say you have some programming background, or you want to just go through everything from scratch. This is how you actually have thought process, and then based on that, your each method is going to represent that whole step as a user story, right? And there's another thing we have called @test. So this @test is the JUnit test. So if you hover here, you see JUnit tag, and then you click, you get this imports. I'm going to do that to each one of this. Okay, and now I'm going to just run. So what happens is, it usually, let's say traditionally, you would be writing main method where you say public static void main, and you would run the test against a Java application. Now in the JUnit world, we work with the @test annotations. So what the test annotation does, test annotations is designed so that you could run as a test. Okay, so you don't have to call write Java applications anymore. Once you have @test, and which test it is a JUnit. So when you right click here and you want to run this, so run as JUnit test, right? So that JUnit test, when you click that, it is going to run everything in that class that has this @test annotations. So when I run this test, you would see all this thing, everything gets green, right? Now let me bring this here. So you see everything is green, and now it is showing all three different tests. And if you see here, first time it ran application status, second time it logs in, and third time it launched the browser, which means obviously not appropriate. It should not be doing that, right? So that's the main feature that JUnit has, that there is no guarantee which order it is going to throw your test. So you have to be careful. JUnit, you don't put any dependency on the test. So this test is dependent on this test, and this test is dependent on this test. So in this case, what we do, we write another test, and then we put that test public void, and I write check application status, because overall this entire steps is just checking my application status, right? So I'm going to remove this all thing, and I want to run this whole thing in one test and make my life much easier. Okay, launch the browser. Now I'm to go by sequence, right? And then I would log in. Okay, then I will check in the application. Now what happens, once you are inside the method or any test, inside the method is this body, then it will go by line, right? Each line is going to access the whole method. So we are calling the method, it goes this here, and it goes each line to perform the activities. Everything inside the body goes line by line. At the test annotation, there is no guarantee which test will run if there are multiple tests. So now if I run this JUnit test, and obviously it is going to show green one test because we're just running one test, right? And then you can see the output is here, and then output is showing everything. I mean, obviously there's so much sentences we're writing. This is not how we would go. In reality, what we would write in our future videos, that we are going to perform the actual actions here, and then those steps we're going to define at that point. So you would be seeing that browser actually launched in, and it logged in, and then it checked the application status, and it did all of those validations that we wanted. Okay. So briefly, this is all about the, like, how you would be exercising your testing mindset. Don't go with system out println, but just sketch yourself as a test case first, and then you start writing your test. Okay, when you write the test, just think about this each user story, and there may be some validation that you might have to break it down, or there may be just field validation, right? So just try to get that accommodated. If it is appropriate feeding into one method, it's fine, or if not, then just think about like this as a method itself, and then try to feed that inside here. Okay, so that's how you would do. If there's anything that you think it is taking too much of the effort, just write another method and then just dump that in, right? So that's it. And I think this has been helpful for you understanding how the JUnit or understanding how you would write the test cases on the JUnit. So this would be very beginner lesson. All I wanted to do is how you would practice how you would exercise, or how you would develop your testing mindset. So that how you would do validations and all this, just the way you would do manual testing, we do the same thing, only thing different is we would code here. Okay. Thank you very much. I hope this has been helpful, and we look forward to seeing you on next video with more ideas and testing stuff. Thank you very much.